Recently, we've been talking a lot about Kawasaki and the 600 class in general. We know the main issue with the 600 class is crazy emission standards are choking up these bikes, and most manufacturers just don't sell enough of them to justify spending the R&D into keeping their 600 modern, or in Yamaha's case, even keeping a 600 at all. However, maybe the solution to our problem is directly in front of us, and it will be Suzuki, not Kawasaki, that will resurrect the middleweight sport bike class. Today, we are going to examine the possibility of a 750cc class emerging and whether or not I believe it will happen. When talking about the 750 class, we really only have one specimen to examine, and that's the Suzuki GSX-R 750. No other manufacturer produces an inline-4 750cc motorcycle besides Suzuki. Now, there was a time when other manufacturers actually did make a 750cc supersport. In the late 1980s, we had the CBR600RR, the ZX14R, and the FZ750, and of course the GSX-R 750. However, all these 750s eventually got replaced by 1000s. Except Suzuki decided not to replace their 750, but instead keep their 750 alive and then create a 1000 to be sold alongside with it. So now the question is this: would the current 600cc class evolve into a 750cc class? Now that 600s are getting weaker and slower thanks to emissions, maybe a bump up in displacement will add excitement back into the segment, and a 750 makes a healthy bump in power over a 600. And if you examine the GSX-R 750 versus the GSX-R 600, somehow Suzuki was able to keep these two bikes within 6 pounds from each other. I still have no idea how Suzuki managed that. So there won't be any significant weight gain, and there will be a fairly significant power gain. Now, I've never ridden a GSX-R 750 before, but I've heard many say that it was like having the power of a liter bike, but the weight of a 600. I never questioned it before, but I decided to do some research on just how much faster the GSX-R 750 was, and this is what I discovered. Suzuki claims that the GSX-R 750 makes 148 horsepower and 64 foot-pound of torque, which seems to translate to roughly 125 wheel horsepower on the dyno. When compared to a GSX-R 600, the 750 has a healthy bump in power of around 20 peak horsepower, but more importantly, all throughout the rev range, we see a 10 to 15 horsepower advantage with the 750. That's an extremely noticeable figure. With those advantages in power, we see that the GSX-R 750 has a top speed somewhere between 170 and 180 miles per hour, with some sources stating even higher than that, compared to the 600, which gets at most maybe 160 miles per hour. And as you can see here, the 750 has much faster acceleration, especially at higher speeds. It takes the GSX-R 600 18 seconds to reach 150 miles per hour, versus the 750 can do 150 miles per hour in just 13.5 seconds. Now, it's important to note that Suzuki has been selling their 750 alongside their 600 for decades now, and both were just last updated in 2011. So as great as the 750 platform is, Suzuki isn't putting any R&D into it at all. In fact, I believe the GSX-R 750 is being sold mainly for nostalgia purposes. The original GSX-R 750 was made all the way back in 1985 before Suzuki even made their 600 or 1000. In fact, I go into detail of this in the entire history of Suzuki's GSX-R series in my 35-minute long history video that I have on my channel. Check it out if you haven't already. I know you guys will love it. There's a link in the description below. However, I believe Suzuki didn't update their 750 because they simply had no need to. It's just not competing against anything really, and because Suzuki would have to meet the European emission standards, it would just end up being slower and nobody would want it over the old one anyway. So let's revisit the main question here again. Will a 750 class replace the 600? Using the Suzuki GSX-R 750 as a template, we have a strong candidate for an amazing bike. I mean, 150 horsepower and a 420 pound curb weight is a recipe for an amazing street bike. Those are similar figures to my old 954, and I found that power ratio was absolutely perfect on the street. However, there's a couple major problems with the 750cc class, and these problems will make it nearly impossible for us to ever see a class like that emerge. Our first problem is that most race classes, if not all, currently do not accept a 750cc inline-4 motorcycle. Now, why would this be such a big deal? Well, for starters, racing is the only reason why these bikes were made in the first place. And the manufacturers still absolutely care about these races. Even Yamaha still produces a race-only version of their R6, so it can still compete in actual races. Actually, the only manufacturer not competing right now is Suzuki. They completely dropped out of MotoGP last year. They say it was supposed to be a temporary hiatus, but we will just have to wait and see about that. And because there's no racing incentive, then the only reason they do it is for sales. And now we must dive into the harsh reality of the motorcycle world. Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, and Kawasaki, they are all businesses. And a business's number one objective is to turn a profit. Let's face it, a 750 class will not turn in new customers. A 750 with 150 horsepower is fast, way too fast for a new rider, which means we have more experienced riders who will buy them instead. However, will these riders settle for a 750 instead of a 1000? Will the 750 class actually rob sales from the 1000 class? Surely if you can get a really powerful and fun bike for a big discount over the larger 1000, why wouldn't you? The truth is, if a 750 class came out, we would see one of two outcomes. The first outcome is that it sells great, and the 750 class takes away sales from the 1000 class, which the manufacturers will probably not like. The other outcome is that it flops completely and doesn't sell, and it was a complete waste of time and money for the manufacturers. The opinion that a 750cc class can sell and not leach sales from the 1000 class seems very unlikely. These manufacturers have done tons of research, and they know for sure from looking at the 600 class that there's just not enough people in the market for a brand new super sport bike. These bikes do not sell, none of them do. You know what bikes make the manufacturers the most money? The Ninja 400, the CBR300, the R3, those are the bikes that bring in the cash. Back in the day, if you wanted a really fast bike, you would have to get a super bike or a super sport. Now though, you really don't need to. We have super nakeds like the Super Duke and the MT10 that take a ton of sales already from the super bike class. Don't get me wrong, a 750 class would be amazing. As a motorcycle enthusiast, I would love to see nothing more than more super sports reach the market. It's why I made such a big deal about the ZX4R when it was announced. And who knows, just like the ZX4R, we could get a big surprise from one of these manufacturers, but we will just have to wait and see. I really do believe a 750 class will not come though, and what we have is just what we're going to get until eventually all the manufacturers go the way Yamaha did and just eventually discontinue their bikes. I know this is not encouraging to hear, and I am also really disappointed that something like this will likely never happen. So I have a question for all of you guys. If a modern 750cc Super Sport became available, would you be in the market for it? It may be wishful thinking, but if enough of you guys say yes, you want one, then who knows? Maybe one of the manufacturers will see this video and read the comments and decide to give it a shot. I know that's a huge long shot, but it can't hurt, right? And I would love to see nothing more than that. Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, any of you guys are listening, please make a 750. We would all love it, I am sure. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, then please remember to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more motorcycle related content similar to this. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to discussing this further with you guys down in the comment section below. On the screen here, I have a couple links to a few different videos I think you guys will like. If you have some time to watch some good quality motorcycle related content, then click them below. And until next time guys, take care and bye bye.